It's a fanboy system at the highest levels and at the bottom.
Fanboy system?
Yes,
What's
absolutely.
a fanboy system?
You are a customer for life now.
Yep.
That's basically what they've done. They've made you a customer for all of the corporations and all of the systems that control us for life. And that's what we're trying to protect our children from. So, I mean, unfortunately, you're caught in the middle of this.
I have
Me
children.
and you didn't have a conversation before you decided to, but unfortunately, but we're here to protect children from them being like that.
Accept your
Being
child
what?
if she was straight.
A customer for
Oh
life.
yeah, both my kids are cisgender and heterosexual.
I don't think that if you could prove
Well, like if you
transgenderism-
identify with the gender that you were assigned at birth, then you are cisgender.
So like
That's
cis
just
fat.
brainwashed.
So like you're
Absolutely
cisgender
not.
if you believe
Clown black is
yourself
not
to
going to work on
align
me
with
at all.
what you believe your genitals.
So it's like trans fat.
Do you think that you can make an
cis fat.
argument and convince us that
No.
okay, because
I'm
for
not
me,
here to
I
argue
reject
with
the
you.
existence of transgender children.
I'm just curious.
But
like,
don't blame us for anything that you think is happening
Because I
that's
do not
not
believe
me.
I mean, especially
People are
when the
transgender.
safety of children are.
Here would be my question: is what role does the government have in this? Because shouldn't it be just
Well,
left up
I
to
think the government should protect all parents' right to get the care for their children that their children need.
Define
Okay, but
care.
this bill is actually bypassing that, and if
Yeah.
the children leave, they can be.
Well, that's
given
because
the
a lot
surgery
of
without
parents are more dangerous to be around than.
it. By protecting.
Well, I mean, a lot
See,
of
this
them
person
tell
wants the
them to
state to
leave
take
the
your
house.
kids
You're
so
just
that they can
you
try
are
and
not only a customer for life.
If your
but
child
you're literally
thinks that
asking
it's a
the state to
girl,
groom
this
children.
person wants the state to give them
Put them out on
drugs
the
and
street
cut off
after
their
they're
genitals.
done.
But let's say
Do you think I groom children?
hang on,
I
hang
don't
on,
know,
hang on.
but your lifestyle.
What you're doing, you are grooming children.
Animal. Let's say a 14-year-old runs away from home. Let's say a 14-year-old boy runs away from home, and the states have the right to give them protected medical services.
If your parents are dangerous to be around, yes.
But then that's
Define
Yeah,
dangerous
I mean,
parent,
you're
though.
just
Like,
creating.
Well, a
I'm
dangerous
afraid-
parent-
You're
like-
creating some sort of fiction and making it. You're trying to make it a reality.
Well,
That's
I mean,
that's
what's-
not,
what's-
no, that's called the color of
You're
law.
rationalizing.
Why is it any
the state raising
different
children.
to groom your children to be cisgender?
It's not grooming. It's the
not-
default state of
It
reality.
is grooming.
Cisgender doesn't exist.
There's no medical
Transgender
procedure.
doesn't
There's
exist.
no money behind making me a heterosexual.
You exist as a man. You're a
There was
human.
no
No,
money
I'm not a
poured
man.
into making me a heterosexual man.
If you were born with a dick, you're not a
What?
chick. That's the end of it.
Right?
Because that makes you a guy. So take your dick to the other side because you ain't a real man.
Balls will say it to my face. You know, it would just be a lot easier if you guys said the quiet part out loud. Well, that transgenderism should be eradicated.
It should
What
be.
Michael Knowles said is that the concept itself should not be supported by the public,
There
within
you
the
go.
government, and within the civic body. So
Do
when he
what
says it
you
should be
wanna do, but
eradicated,
leave
he's
our
saying
kids out
the
of it.
concept of transgenderism should be eradicated. Not you.
the
You should be free to who you
concept of
are, and every child should be
cisgenderism
free
should
to
be
be who they are, and under the purview.
Okay,
of
here's a
the
question for you. If trans kids are too young to decide what gender they are, then shouldn't all kids be on puberty
can't
blockers?
decide
No,
that.
that's giving them. Wait.
We're so poor with you guys. That's why we have to stop you guys
Listen.
in your tracks because there's no floor, there's no bottom.
Yes.
No, that's outrageous.
no child should be
That is
given
absolutely
medication.
outrageous.
To be honest with you, it's not even worth
There's no reason to give
No, I.
puberty blockers. There's
Well,
no
but it's
reason
already
to
been.
have
It's already been proved that gender-affirming care saves lives.
Only for kids that are so depressed that they're going to kill themselves because they don't know who they are.
Usually, if
So
you ignore
you
it,
think
it goes
those
away.
kids
No.
should not receive the care
No,
they
they
need?
shouldn't. I think they should get mental health care. And at 18, if they want to have the surgery, then they should have it. You can't drink alcohol. You can't smoke marijuana. You can't get a tattoo. You can't own a gun. You can't get your nipples pierced. You can't get your tongue pierced. Not until you're 18. They
Right.
shouldn't be able to have any of that surgery.
Well,
until
those
they're
aren't
18.
life-saving.
No, but this is life
Where's the line,
It's
though?
life altering.
What's going to save your, what's saving your life from getting your genitals removed or replaced or whatever it is?
Well, what if you have cancer?
Cancer's a different story. We're not out here fighting that they shouldn't be
There's no
removing
straw man that
women's
you
breasts.
create
So, like-
that's gonna fix this.
So,
You're-
like, what?
stay away from the kids.
Well, I haven't like looked to see if I have a uterus yet, but you know,
You're
a
speculating
man
on
just
Yes.
had a hernia operation and they gave him a full
You're
hysterectomy.
born with the uterus, though, is the thing.
Well, so are people who are grandfathers and have children.
They're born with uteruses, men.
Well, yeah, this guy just went in for a hernia operation, and they ended up giving him a full hysterectomy. And you can look it up right now on Google.
Okay, well, see that he was born that way.
Is that the normal?
That's born.
People are born.
It's as normal as you or me.
But listen,
No, it's
some
not.
people are
Well,
born
wait a
with
minute.
low hearts. That's
Who's-
understandable. But
Does
if
not
you're
my
born with it.
existence mean I'm as normal as anyone else?
I mean, you're wearing a dress. What do you think?
I don't know. I really don't know.
No, bro, you're supposed
What
to
do you
enjoy
think?
it.
I have the
Arguing
same
for
question
sexual
for you.
mutilation of
What?
children.
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
smoking a joint,
Arguing
arguing
for the
arguing
sexual
for kids. What do you think?
mutilization of children. You're trying to normalize the
No,
sexual
it's not
mutilization of children.
mutilization.
Yes, it is.
Circumcision is mutilation.
That's why
It's
my
the same
children
thing.
are intact,
It's the
That's
same
circumcision.
thing. Once you have a sex change, you cannot go back.
bro.
Right.
So if
Once you
you're
introduce
that's
so
why-
if you're a 6-year-old child and
Six-year-old
you
children
decided
get
that you
sex
wanted to get a
changes.
sex change, that's what they're trying to do. You
No,
don't
there's
understand-
not.
You don't even understand your laws or your biology or your
At a certain
physiology.
point,
So how can you argue that?
Have you ever? When did you decide you were cisgender?
I'm Sarah.
I'm not cisgender. I'm a
Yeah, you
straight
are.
woman. No, I'm
Well,
a
cisgender
I'm a
means-
straight
No.
Do you
female.
identify
I'm
as a
adult
woman?
female woman.
Do you
I'm not going to
identify-
put any crazy names on it
point.
because I don't want to give any crazy. I'm not going to label it.
So when did you decide you're a woman?
You want to know the full story? The full story?
Yeah.
When I was 13 years old,
On a
I thought
birth
I was
certificate.
bisexual because that was the fad, okay? Not, cutting your hair
Well-
short and getting, dressing like the rocker people.
So because
I thought I was bisexual, okay? Up until I was 21 years old, I thought that I was bisexual until I realized, 1, it's wrong. 2, it's a lie. It was a lie. My whole life it was
Well,
a
you
lie
don't
because
have to
I
live a
wanted
lie.
to fit in.
You don't-
It's a
you know-
lie.
Yeah,
What is the life
It's
for
a
you, brother?
lie.
Are you gonna
The
get
problem
pregnant anytime
is that
soon?
You
To
guys
be
can't
bisexual.
accept
Can you
get pregnant?
who you
Can you
are
get
as a
pregnant?
person.
What?
Can you get pregnant? Look at me in the eyes.
Not
Can you get
any
pregnant?
more than my mom can.
You can't get pregnant.
My mom
Because you're a
can.
man.
No.
You can't
How
get
does that
pregnant.
anatomy work?
was able to.
Well,
Yes.
she was able to.
And you were born through a woman.
How does that
You had to
anatomy
come through a
work?
woman's vagina to be
Having a
born.
baby, getting pregnant. How, as a man, can you get pregnant?
Well, if I was a man with a uterus, I could get pregnant.
Men don't have uteruses, brother.
No. No.
Men don't have
Yeah,
uteruses.
men.
But a man cannot go and get a sex change and end up with a uterus. It doesn't happen like that. Yeah, I know. I'm just keep exposing your mental
What?
ill. The problem
I'm
is you
mentally
guys can't
ill?
accept who you are. You guys took God out of your hearts and you're angry.
Oh my God,
and
I
so the
love
reason
God.
why is because you guys are empty with yourself,
I love God.
emptyville, and so you decided that I'm so glad that you have
Why
God
do
in
you
your heart.
you really think you know what I did?
You think you know what we did?
No, I
and what we
don't.
do.
No,
Yes.
you're
You
allowed
came over
to
here
try
assuming-
out bisexuality and
Which
be
I
like,
did.
hey, it's not for me. I tried out being straight, heterosexual for 48 years, and it didn't work for me.
And we're
I
not-
almost killed myself.
We're not against gay people. We're not against trans people. Our problem is it does not need to be pushed on our children.
It's not being pushed.
When our children are
yes, it is.
18 years
No.
old,
Yes.
No,
It is.
No.
Yes.
Cisgenderism is being
And there's
pushed on
no
our kids.
stuff with this nonsense.
No.
Heterosexual.
When did
heterosexual
you
behavior.
decide you were a guy?
When did I decide?
Yeah.
I've known it. I've known it all my life.
So your mom, the doctor at your birth decided you were a guy because you have a penis, right?
And
definition
and male
No, it's
DNA.
not.
And male DNA.
Well, if that's a definition of a guy,
So,
then
let me
the
ask you a question.
definition of a
Let me
woman
ask you
is
a question.
someone
Do you
who's
really,
ready
do
to
you
go
really
and
drink
use
tranny
it.
fluid, or is that just to have for show?
Right.
I'm like, in other words, not you.
Could you imagine? Could you?
I'm
assuming
get
you're-
pregnant right to his face.
Bud Light went to his head.
What it would
Get pregnant.
be to
I can't believe you're
have
actually
to
lecturing on
define your womanhood because you have a
Look, he's
uterus.
coming.
I'm
Just
defined right
hold
here.
on. Let
But what you
me
don't
finish my
understand-
question.
Okay, go ahead.
I said,
Sassy.
how would it feel to you if you were defined as someone who has a uterus for the sole reason of other people regulating?
Nobody's regulating. One.
Well,
And
laws
two,
are.
Laws are regulating a lot of things. Like forcing
Well,
your
I mean,
child
the
to have
anti-abortion
sex
laws
change.
sweeping this country are regulating women's uterus.
So is COVID vaccines. What about
Well,
that?
I'm not
Did you
talking
agree with
about that.
No, but okay, but what you're
Well,
talking
COVID
about.
is not a defining factor like you're saying a uterus
No, you're right,
is.
but the government tried to force
Yeah, but that's what
vaccines,
we're
right?
talking about.
But we can both agree the government shouldn't have anything to do with our body,
I would
right?
say the government does not have the right to tell parents how to care for their children.
But the government has the right?
No, the government doesn't have the right to say how a parent should care for the children, but they do have a right to protect children from parents who are abusive.
So, okay, yes, I agree with that. I agree that children who are in abusive families right now need more protection, but that's the problem is we're focused on this versus children who
Focused
are
on
actually
what?
being abused. Do you know what SB 5599 is?
Oh yeah. No, I listened to the hearing.
Yes, so that's one of our issues.
I watched.
You need to read it because there's more to it than just what you can watch and what they say.
Well, no, this was just, it wasn't the news, it was like the actual, you know,
TW,
it was,
like you go
I mean,
on the governor's
Jim Walsh
site.
was there.
Oh yeah, you're
So
welcome.
mic check real quick.
Politicians
Real quick reminder. Rights are not taken by tyrants. Rights are surrendered by cowards.
All right, well,
Do I have brave patriots in front of me that will defend the rights of children and the American people? Let me hear you right now make some noise. God bless America.
Okay, so we're good now. Tape it down here and then.
Okay, thank you.
I have over 16 death threats today.
Pretty much, yeah.
Rose City Antifa posted on Twitter, quickly deleted and I screenshot it. One said, "Will someone just shoot this motherfucker today?" Another one said, "How about I cut his throat?" So with my wife liking me to be alive, she's all like, "You're gonna have to make this." So crazy, brother. I got you. Appreciate it. Yeah, thank you. Yep. WA 3 team, if you're having troubles making communication on B channel, please report to the PA. WA 3 team, event observation team, if you're having trouble making communications on B frequency, please report to the WA 3 comms officer at the PA so we can get you reprogrammed. Don't worry, WSP, I'm not encrypting. I ain't trying to catch a RICO charge that easy.
Scott, go stand. Oh.
Look at me in the middle.
Go up here, just stand. Yeah. You want to go stand? Name again?
Ford. Looking for a radio check.
Yep.
Looking for a radio
You do any
check. If you got me.
exposés or any investigation?
Message me or ask me about it after, because I've been writing about it for like, yeah, basically for like 2.5 years, or however long it's been since then. I've a big like project of mine has been trying to acquire unpublished footage of it and then getting it released, and also advocating for McCarthy to release it. So those are my main things. Yeah, on Twitter it's at Ford Fischer. I've already. Yep. Like it says right there, but just at and then no space.
Okay, so look at that and go to that one, and then if you guys want to escort Miracle Center.
I don't know. They won't let them talk.
Okay.
Yeah, this has been around for
No four.
Yeah, no four. Yep, no four.
Oh, okay.
No four, yep. All right. Because I think if I'm correct, Genghis Khan had it.
The black flag.
He blew the flag. I know. I remember that. Okay, sounds good. Yeah, I mean, I didn't research. I'm not research.
No, I mean, from walking to the car, from the car to here. I just...
It's her idea.
watch out there.
Oh, I think we can walk over there.
I'm waiting for Sarah. She wanted to talk to you.
Like legitimately.
Okay, so to my folks who are watching, there are kind of two opposing rallies that are taking place here in Olympia, Washington. On this physical side of the street, it is basically the kind of conservative side. I think the group's name is like Conservative Moms for Liberty or Conservatives for something like that. My apologies for not having the exact group name in hand, but basically there's the kind of conservative-leaning side here, which is opposing a piece of legislation in particular that would be considered pro-drag or pro-transgender. On the other side of the street is the exact opposite, is folks who are pro-LGBT, emphasis on sort of the T, and drag events and so forth. Those two events are both kind of just starting to get ready. Neither have speakers who are sort of speaking yet. I actually started this live stream as there was kind of an ongoing debate when a transgender woman came over to the conservative side and was kind of debating with people. So that was when I sort of started the live stream. It looks now like there's some of the right-wing people kind of made their way over there and seem to be doing some kind of debating or something like that. But things seem mostly kind of calm for now. So I'll keep kind of moving around, but assume that rallying itself will kind of start fairly soon.
I'm already following you for it.
Oh, okay.
She and I have been working really closely together since I stopped doing the games. Yeah. This is Dave.
And actually, yeah, no, I'm just really curious because I think, yeah, I'm just curious because I mean, I know that you guys are good people, kind people that have lives and children and families, and I'm just so curious how there becomes this divide, you know, where it becomes like what we went through the family is so frustrating. You know, like how societal. Yeah, I know, but I just don't want to talk about it now. So my child is there's so much therapy and so much talking and so much research and medical talking and
Are you live or are you just sort of recording?
I do I'm videographer, so I do cinematic work. Yeah.
Gotcha.
So I'm video watching for the site. So
Cool.
I do a little pretty little videos.
I don't use DSLRs precisely because I find that it's like too shaky, but you seem to have like a rig to solve that.
They're pretty fancy.
And also for representing parents everywhere who love their children. Thank you. Thank you. All children deserve liberty. They do not deserve mom's liberty. They deserve their liberty. And I want to thank everyone here for representing that in a quiet, respectful, mature manner. We're not inciting violence or hate. If anything, we're inciting love, support, and aloha. So thank you everyone here for sharing your aloha. Keep it up.
Have amendments done. I said, okay, we want an amendment that protects violence. All right, thank you. I don't see you want me to hold it?
Social.
You scared him! Woo! We like touching kids. Oh.
Yeah, so they've got their own little counter protest.
I'm pretty sure the second they say something.
Well, I think we could have
I got kids in Grand State.
You're incognito.
Well, we have an office. It actually gets faster. Three hours. So I live on the north.
If I can get the WA3 team and event watch over to the PA for a radio update, please report to the PA.
If you're going to come here.
Obviously pressures. There is no harm in waiting.
Hello, defenders of our transgender community.
If we could keep this
We
area
are
clear.
keeping this area clear and the street clear. So
Can I have 5
if you want to
people
record,
who are
we have
willing to hold
designated
one of
free
these
speech
laminated
recording areas,
signs
or you can join the
premise to
group,
bring
but
it
we're keeping
back
people
because
out
it's
of the
not
street
before
and out
that.
of this walkway.
Okay, try and record people who are
Come
on
on
the street
down.
themselves.
So that's just that.
So what are you asking?
Oh, that you go back to where the other side.
So
And
you'd
we'll
rather,
stay-
you'd
we'll stay
rather
over
we
here.
didn't cross over?
Yeah, exactly. That's how the state had it set up for the two groups to be here. So that's why they
Because
have the
one of their guys came over and had a really vigorous
Okay,
conversation.
just a few notes before we get started.
It was actually civil.
Just remember, we're the fabulous people. We have better hair, better signs.
Anyway, go ahead. Go back over.
And if you're holding a sign, try to think about what it looks like from about 100 paces away. If you turn it towards your best friend who you're sitting with, nobody will know. So thank you very much. One other thing, I don't know if this has been said at the microphone. We have a lot of people here who feel very impassioned about supporting all of our community, including our transgender family, because we are transgender defenders.
If you need anything whatsoever, just fucking put both hands up like this, and I'll send it to you.
There's a difference between seeking help, especially if you're an adult. Sometimes adults act
You know everybody, Rachel.
Sadly, our community has had quite a history of violence. I have been a target. I lost my so please be mindful of your actions and stir people up to by following somebody home. So good.
You can keep singing, it's all
Sneaky fun. There is nobody over here that intends to attack your people. Let's be very clear on that. We are not going to get into a shouting match. This isn't a battle of volume. This is a battle of good versus evil. We are not going to shout back and forth at each other. I assure you, my name is Rhody. I am a leader of the 3%. Your people will all leave this event safely. I expect the same from you. Can I get a confirmation?
Yes, save our children.
I'm just going to keep taking
All right, I like it.
That we have the best interest of children in mind. What will be in the worst interest of children is for us to battle or fight. None of us want that. This is a battle of ideology, not blood. I give you my word, every single one of your people, go back to the bus unaccosted. I want the same guarantee from OSD. Do I get it?
You guys are destroying America. You told our kids for socialism. You wanted them to use drugs with no control. You make them a transgender so that we have no next generation. You are evil. You are destroying America.
Down with the CCP! Down with the CCP! Down with communism!
What's up, sister?
You are evil! You are trying to get rid of our next generation!
And I hope, does anybody have a cough drop for that person? They're getting kind of hoarse. Thank
I escaped from communist China. I cannot stand those people there.
They wiped out
Destroy
my whole
our
family.
generation.
My grandparents fought with the White Army. My father was born in 1928. He was a Holocaust survivor. He was chased out of Russia. He went with my entire family Shoal to Poland only to be wiped out by the Nazis. We're not going to let him win, ma'am.
My family are persecuted, killed, and beaten up and thrown in jail by the CCP regime. I was in the Chinese military
I have many
when I
friends
was
that are Falun
16.
Gong. You know Falun
good.
Gong? I'm good
Yeah.
friends with Falun Gong.
Thank you.
Okay, yes.
And I know what
don't
they
give
are
them-
doing
don't
is
give them the
helping
battle.
the CCP destroy America.
Don't give them the battle they want. Let's fight the battle we can win, okay?
Yeah. Let's do the pledge.
Jane, Rhody. God bless you. Good to meet you.
Good to meet you.
Oh, trust me, you can find me.
You have a...
I don't.
I can give you...
She knows my information. Okay, Jane. God bless you.
Let's do the pledge. That pisses them off. Let's do the pledge.
Everybody that's here to support children. Everybody that's here to fight for children's rights. Let me hear you. So let's lay down some rules. We are not going to shout at useful idiots that are puppets with communist strings tied to them to create the new age Mao resistance. Am I legally required to get out of the street? I refuse. Moving on. Moving on. When they tell you to stop, you drive in. But this is about to begin. So for my people, my civil Americans, my Americans that will fight with their heart, my Americans that will fight with their soul, my Americans that stand for El Shaddai, Almighty God, Sovereign of the universe. Do you hear me? Rule number 1, wolves do not speak to sheep. Say it again. Wolves do not speak to sheep. We will not listen to their yammering. We will not engage them in their hyperbole and their ad hominem attacks. We are here to tell our story, not to rebuttal useful idiots. Stole your bullhorns, stole your violence, stole your anger. Store it in your heart. Make it a white hot diamond. And I assure you, my people, when the moment is right, the moment will arise. But we will not tarry with fools. We will not debate useful idiots. Let them shout, let them scream, and let our actions speak louder than words. God bless the Republic, God save the children, and God damn the communists. Shout all you want, kids.
Jay Inslee doesn't even know he's a man or woman, just like a Biden. And you guys are screwed up in your mind. You are destroying our America's next generation. You are evil. You are helping our enemy, CCP, the Chinese Communist Party regime, to destroy America. You are evil. What you do is screwed up our next generation, making them have no kids. You are evil.
All right, listen up. We start with the pledge because we are American.
Yes.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If I could ask one thing to those of us that have gathered to protect children, I would ask you to be quiet. We're about to begin. We're about to sing the national anthem. We have speakers that came here to speak their stories. If you shout, they're going to be drowned out. What the leftists want, what the communists want, is they want us to look like a disorganized rabble. Are you a disorganized rabble? No! Or are you a clenched fist of victory? Yes! So we need to be a little bit quiet. I know we all got a bunch of fire in our belly because we're fighting for righteousness. We're fighting for our children. And there is no greater line in the sand to be drawn than protecting our children. And it begins now. Dear Lord God, El Shaddai, Sovereign of the universe, we ask for protection for our people. We ask for protection of these people over there. We ask for peace. We ask for the ability to speak our minds. Let them make their noise. You aren't trying to talk to them. You are praying to the heavens for victory. So let them shout as much as they want and smile in their faces.
We want Inslee to hear us, not them.
Inslee doesn't listen, sweetie.
And just remember, we have better hair. Except not me today. Not today.
What you are doing is destroy America. You are evil to help the Chinese Communist Party regime.
Thank you.
Testing. No next generation.
Oh, we sure do.
Evil.
So this is as loud as it's gonna get. Can I get everybody to kind of gather in a little bit closer so we can hear over the communist dribble over there? Just a little bit louder. We're gonna go ahead and we're gonna sing the national anthem, and then we're gonna get this started.
I just spent all the money to come out here.
I like documenting all the different types of
God bless you all. God bless the opposition. And everybody meet Julie Barrett and give her a round of applause right now.
Hello, everybody. Welcome. Thank you so much for coming out. I'm Julie Barrett. I'm the founder of Conservative Ladies of Washington. And we are here today to support our children, to protect parental rights, and to take a stand against what our state lawmakers have done to take away our parental rights, not just this session, but you guys, they have been doing this for decades. And we're going to talk about that today. This is not a shouting match against these people. This is about letting citizens know what's been happening here in Olympia. Parents that you will get to hear from, activists, people that are really working hard to protect children. This is not anti any group of people, anti any child. This is about restoring parental rights and giving parents the ability to protect their children. Representative Walsh, could you come down? I wasn't going to introduce him that way, but he was standing there and I need him to come right now because he only has a few minutes. He was going to be later in the program. You may not know this. I will. Thank you. I will. Jim Walsh is the only legislator that dropped a bill this session that would protect children from irreversible procedures. You probably don't know that because the Democrats didn't even let it have a hearing. That was one of hundreds of bills that Republicans dropped that never even got a hearing. And so we did not want this rally to be a political event, and it is truly about parents supporting children and citizens supporting children. But I asked Jim if he would come speak today because Jim has really been on the front lines of this issue, and as you all probably know, many issues in the state this session. And I wanted him to talk about
Don't stand there.
I wanted him to talk about particularly Senate Bill 5599, which goes along with House Bill 1469, which is really what that's
You need to stand away from the speakers. Come this way. Come back. There you go.
So I want him to talk specifically about those bills and just kind of as you see it and where things are headed.
Okay, good.
Thanks for being here.
Of course. I'll give Julia a hand for setting this all up. The first thing to know is that parents' rights are constitutional rights. Now, what the U.S. Supreme Court has said, and they've said it repeatedly, is that parental rights are part of due process rights, and they stem from the 14th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution. These are foundational rights. They are not second-class rights. They cannot be eroded or undermined or impaired by statutory law or anything else. Your right to the control of the upbringing and education of your children and grandchildren cannot be impaired. And you will hear a lot of spin that these statutory law bills are not meant to impair your foundational rights. But that's spin. What the current crop of legislation in this state does, and there are several individual bills that are part of it, is they chip away in narrow ways at your foundational rights to raise your children and grandchildren, to keep your families together as you see fit. And we don't want that chipping away. We will oppose that chipping away. We will stand for parental rights and families and the ultimate well-being and welfare of the children of this state. One of the fundamental flaws in the logic supporting a lot of these recent bills is this idea that if parents and families don't affirm every whim that a minor child has, they are being abusive. This is false. Parental love, parental support often means saying no with love. This is how we raise our children. This is how we make them strong and healthy adults. The other false presumption of these bad bills is that the state, that bureaucrats know better for your children than you know. That is false. State bureaucrats do not know. You know. And what I promise you is those of us who care about constitutional rights, those of us who care about the traditions of this state, will defend your right to raise your children and your families as you choose. Not as a bureaucrat, not as a state agency tells you you must, but as you, in your judgment, choose. That is pro-choice. So God bless you all. Stay strong and stay focused. Remember, Article 1, Section 1 of the state constitution. All political power is inherent in the people.
Say it again, Jim.
Governments derive their just powers from the consent of the governed. And those governments exist to protect and maintain individual rights. That's your right to raise your children as you see fit. Don't listen to a bureaucrat. Don't listen to an agency. Don't listen to an elected official. You make that choice. God bless you all.
Can I get another big round of applause for Jim? This man is a tireless warrior for Washington State, and he has been in the trenches of so many fights this session. So thank you for coming out. Did you want to say something?
Remember, a lot of what is being called misinformation about these bills is actually the language of the bills themselves. And too many of those who support these proposals haven't read the bills they support. So we have truth on our side, we have the facts on our side, and they can spin, but they are not reading the black letter law. Remember, the best way to protect a child, the best way to keep a child safe is to raise the child well. And only you can do that. This building can't do it. The bureaucracy can't do it. Only you. All right, well, have a great day.
He's a tough act to follow. And he yells. I don't have my yelling voice down. My kids are teenagers, so I don't yell as much as I used to. So hopefully I'm loud enough. Can you all hear me back there? Okay. Our next speaker is someone that I have been really honored to get to know this legislative session. I'm sure most of you guys have heard of the group Gays Against Groomers. We have a chapter here in Washington State, and the chapter here is led by Alex. I don't know how to say. She told me 10 minutes ago, and it's already gone. So I'll do the Joe Biden on that one. Alex has been working hand in hand with me on these bills since they were dropped in January, and she has been here to the Capitol to testify against them. She has been making noise. I guess she's TikTok famous or something. Awesome. So please give a round of applause and welcome my dear friend Alex.
Thank you for that welcome. Thank you all for being here, first and foremost. So the first thing I want to talk about from Gays Against Groomers is that we all used to be warned about the old creepy guy in the van, and that's who we told our kids to stay away from. That is no longer the case. That is not the primary threat to our children. Our primary threat to our children is from the internet. It is from social media. It is from things like YouTube Kids that deliberately use things like an algorithm to push LGBTQIA+, I don't even know how many more letters there are now, onto our children behind your backs because you think it's child-friendly entertainment. It is not child-friendly entertainment. You cannot trust anything and give it to your kids. You have to screen all of it, every single thing. And I know it's hard. I have 3 kids myself. It is a pain in the butt. Now, the other thing that we didn't used to deal with is social emotional learning in schools. Sounds like you guys know what that is. Good. They're now asking deeply personal questions of your children in classrooms. This is deeply inappropriate, makes our children uncomfortable, and based on their answers, they then tailor the new education to them. It is weakening our children's education, and it is indoctrinating them into the ideas like boys can be girls and girls can be boys. This is false. They cannot do that.
Boys aren't girls.
Now, this is not about hate. Don't hate anybody. This is not anti-trans. This is about the fact that children cannot make irreversible decisions on their own. We don't let them smoke. We don't let them get tattoos. We don't let them drive until they have proven that they can do so safely. And yet we're letting them decide life-altering decisions at the age of 12. This is insane. Absolutely insane. Now, I want to impart to you the importance of speech on this issue. People like them will tell you that simply saying these things is violence. That is not true. Just because I disagree with you, and I'm sure there are people in this audience that I disagree with right now, that does not mean that you have committed violence against me. What they are doing is they are setting up a scenario in which, when you disagree, they then think that that gives them the right to defend themselves by attacking you with physical violence.
Amen!
That is not appropriate. That is not how we behave in a civil society. What schools are pushing in the name of inclusivity is disingenuous. It is not inclusive to tell children that they belong in different categories. You need to let your children be children. You need to let them live the way they're going to live without trying to label them. Any adult who tells your child that they are of the opposite gender or inquires about their sexual interests when they shouldn't have them yet is disgusting. There is no way to talk about these topics in a child-friendly way. They are complicated for adults. We could sit here for hours talking about these issues, trying to find a middle ground on how to work around these issues. It's complicated for adults. The only way to discuss this with children is to oversimplify it in the most gross context. When you tell a child that they can just change their gender by just saying that they are, you are teaching them that reality doesn't exist. Nothing is more fundamentally harmful for a child than taking away their ability to conceptualize the world. They need to be able to order the world in order to just understand it. When you take that away, they're confused, and that confusion leads to anxiety and depression, rates of suicide. We've seen it all. Children need standards. Even myself, who knew I was gay in high school, I understood that this word didn't exist, but heteronormative is the standard. Anyone who tells you differently is lying to themselves. And that's not bad. I don't need to see women kissing women and men kissing men in movies in order for me to know that I am gay. I don't mind seeing it, but I don't need it to know who I am. And the lie that we need to tell your children, we need to show your children what sex is, we need to show them what gay sex is so that they're inclusive, that's a lie. They can figure this out on their own. There are whole generations of gay people and transgendered individuals who figured it out without all of this garbage. And that is still true. So now I want to talk about the myths around gender-affirming care. Nothing could be a more disgusting euphemism than gender-affirming care. First of all, it is not care. It is experimental at best. So one of the things that they say is that this prevents suicide. That is a dubious claim at best, and the data isn't there to support it. If you look at historical suicide records, you will see that there is no spike in child suicide. They have been relatively stable all through history until now, when we are supposedly in the most inclusive, understanding, sensitive time in our lifetime. Child suicide rates are the highest they have ever been. The data does not support their claim that if you do not affirm your child, if you do not allow them to take puberty blockers, that if you don't allow them to access hormone replacement therapy, and if you don't allow them to mutilate themselves with surgery, that they will kill themselves. That is not true. Your child might be suicidal. That is a separate issue, and one that you should take very seriously. But it is not answered by permanent alterations to their body. The other myth that they say all the time, and has now been debunked by even the medical professionals who advocate for this, is that these things are safe and reversible. Puberty blockers are not safe or reversible. There are multiple issues with puberty blockers. One of the most well-known is bone loss, severe and detrimental bone loss, at a higher rate than osteoporosis. That is a horrible thing to do to a child. It is unconscionable. She is correct. Pulmonary embolism is another side effect of some of these medications. Now, one of the less known things is that if you are of an age where you have not yet achieved sexual function, and there are children in the audience, so I will try to be vague, then you will not achieve it if you've been on puberty blockers. That is around 80 to 90%. And children who have gone on it any younger than 10 have not had any sexual function. Jazz Jennings is an example of this, where if you have not had sexual function before you get on these medications, you likely never will have it. That is so egregiously horrible that I can't believe that the people that advocate for sex positivity would support this. It is egregious what they are doing to our children. It is egregious that they are lying to you the way that they are. And it is even worse that the medical community is being as obtuse as they are. They hide the facts from you. They distort the statistics. And they lie about how likely it is that you will face complications from these procedures. They leave it to parents to dig for themselves what they should be upfront with you to begin with. For example, Seattle Children's Gender Clinic performs surgery on minors. It says this on their website, and they do everything they can to try to mitigate what they mean by this. What they mean is that the youngest case that they have had is a 15-year-old deciding to cut off her breasts. That is unconscionable as a medical professional that you would do this. Now, they like to say that there are things like cancer patients. They cut off their breasts. What I would like to say is, how dare you conflate cancer with a completely healthy child? Secondly, you make it easier for children who have no medical necessity to cut off their body parts than if I were to go to a medical professional and say that I want my uterus removed. They wouldn't do it. They would not do it. They would make me take all kinds of tests. They would ask me if I was sure, do you not want to have children, blah, 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 blah. But if I told them tomorrow that I am actually a man and I would actually like to have that removed to affirm myself, they would schedule it right away.
100%! They would do it 100%!
Now, we all here know about the industrial medical complex. There's a lot of trouble in our society around accessing medication that is expensive. I would like to tell you a little bit about how expensive it is to achieve gender-affirming care. So for vaginoplasties, that is for men or boys to have a neo-vagina, you're looking at $4 to $12 grand per procedure. And that is on top of $1,200 per month for puberty blockers, or about $1,500 per year for hormone replacement therapy. You add all that up, and that's not even including the complications of multiple surgeries. Now, phalloplasty for girls, which is where they create a fake penis, that's the most expensive. $20,000 to $100,000 per procedure. And I would like to let you know that of all categories, the most egregious jump in people who are identifying as trans, rapid onset gender dysphoria is what they're calling it. I like to call it social contagion. What they're doing, that category, is girls. There are more girls than ever who are identifying as trans. And that is big money. All they see when they look at your children is money. They want to make your kids lifelong medical patients so that they can rake in the dollars. Do not let them do this. It is egregious. Not only will you pay the price, but eventually your child will pay that price for the rest of their lives. And if you didn't know, you are already paying for this in Washington. The Trans Health Program, which is Medicaid in Washington, is freely available to anyone who applies for it under Apple Care. You are already paying for this. Now I want to talk about the reason we're here today, which is to oppose Senate Bill 5599. Some of you might have heard my testimony, might have heard some of my videos talking about this bill, so I'm going to try not to be repetitive. Our biggest objections for Gays Against Groomers are a couple of points. One of the first is that one of the first things this bill says is that any person can harbor a minor who runs away from home if they are seeking gender-affirming care. Why would the federal government, or would the state government, care so little about who is watching your children? They don't care about your kids. If they don't have a standard for who is allowed to harbor them, then they cannot care about children. Any pedophile, any sex offender, any abuser, anybody can harbor your children, and they will not background check these people. All they have to do is report that they have them. I guarantee you they will not check on that person. They will applaud them for their public service. Now, there is also no time restriction. Puberty blockers and hormone replacement therapies need to be continually administered. So if your child is seeking gender-affirming care in order to receive these things, then there is no time limit. They can stay at a youth shelter, they can stay with, hopefully, a friend or someone you know who actually isn't going to abuse them. But anyway, they could go anywhere to receive this, and it's indefinite. You could, theoretically, see your kid one day and then not see them again until they're 18. That could happen. And they made no attempt in the multiple times that they edited this bill to change it in any way. There is no attempt at family reconciliation counseling or reunification. That was an amendment that Jim Walsh proposed for this bill. They shot it down point blank. If your concern is the safety of children, why would you object to more therapy? Honest question. To those of you who might not know, an example of how this is going to go has already occurred. In the state of Virginia, a girl ran away from home because she thought that she was trans. And she thought that she was going to go meet a 14-year-old at the skate park. Unfortunately for her, that was a 25-year-old pedophile who abducted her and took her across state lines and sexually assaulted her multiple times. It took Texas getting involved when she turned up there before she was finally returned to her parents. In response to this, Virginia is now sponsoring what is called SAGE's Law, and it is to allow parents to be kept in the loop on all things regarding child transition, to prevent these types of events from happening. SB 5599 is going to allow these things by law. Who cares if they eventually punish someone who has assaulted a child? the assault's already happened. And this law encourages it. This law, pedophiles are not stupid. They are predators. They know how to exploit the weaknesses that are in our system. They go where children are. That is why you see abuse happen in churches. That is why you see abuse happen in the Boy Scouts. That is why you see abuse happen in schools. It's not because these institutions are inherently bad. It is because that's where children are. These are the institutions we trust. My answer to you as parents is stop trusting anyone. Now to talk about HB 1469, which is the companion bill to this bill. This is more of a state issue, and this is more existential than it is directly affecting your children. This law encourages states to ignore the sovereignty of other states. If a state like Texas were to subpoena Washington for the violation of their state law, Washington will ignore them. They will not honor their laws. They will tell them off. This imposes a moral superiority that says that Washington and other states like it know what is best, and they will enforce it. If they deem that you do not agree with them, then they simply will take your rights away. Now, HB 1469 is a direct violation of Article 4, Section 2, Clause 2 of the U.S. Constitution. That is the extradition clause. It is not self-executing. The federal government cannot force these states to comply. It was a moral agreement that nobody thought would ever need be challenged, because no one could ever foresee that we would fall so disastrously. What this does is this encourages other states, which may or may not hold your values, to enact laws similar to 1469 in the opposite way. This will further polarize the country. It will make our children less safe. It is encouraging people to take extreme action during, say, contentious divorces. Or, let's say a parent is legally barred from seeing their child for abusive reasons. What's to stop them from making up something like, my kid is trans, or my kid is not trans, and then running away to a state that is going to harbor them? These laws make it more difficult for common sense legislation to work the way it's supposed to work. All of these bills make it more difficult to keep children safe. So, you might ask, what's next? What can we do as parents to answer this? I'm going to be honest with you. There is no good answer. Now, one of the first things you can do is have real hard conversations with your children. It is uncomfortable to talk about sex. It is uncomfortable to talk about gender. These are things we never thought we'd have to discuss with our children. They want to indoctrinate your children into an ideology. If you do not offer up a counterpoint, do not be surprised when your children follow their lead. You have to give them something else. Those conversations are awkward. They are difficult, I understand. But it is necessary. You have to talk to them about what trans is and why it doesn't make sense. You have to talk to them about their feelings. You have to discuss with them why, if that's really how they feel, then they need to wait. And you need to do the hard thing as a parent and parent. Do not allow unsupervised access to the internet. It is so easy to hand them the phone, hand them the tablet, give them on Netflix, give them onto YouTube. This is not the answer. All of these,
at this point, I'm pretty satisfied.
all of this stuff is coming to them through social media, through their friends on the internet, people like Jeffrey Marsh who target children, who try to separate them from their parents, who tell them that if their parents are mean to them or don't let them do whatever they want, that they don't love them. Keep them off the internet. You need to be more due diligent in what you're doing. It is difficult, it's tiresome, it's taxing, I know. There is no alternative to those. you should be able to look behind you at our Capitol because they have sent you a clear message. They do not care about what you say. They do not care how you feel. They think you are wrong. They do want your money and they want your children. Now, if your child is at risk to fall into this ideology and you feel like your rights are truly threatened, I urge you wholeheartedly to move. I urge you wholeheartedly that if you cannot move, homeschool your children. Find a community that you can trust. Give them solid footing that they can embed themselves in. That is the only way forward. If you think that Washington is in any way, shape, or form close to turning this around, I'm sorry, that is wrong. You're going to have to either leave and go somewhere where your values are reflected and your children are kept safe, or you're going to have to find a way to live within the system and doing your best to protect and harbor them in your home. That is the only option. Thank you so much for having me. It is an honor, Julie. And I will turn it over to our next speaker.
God bless you, Alex! 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 Yeah!
Alex has worked so hard on this issue, and I appreciate so much her being in this fight, and her voice is so important in this fight. Our next speaker is another name, last name I can't pronounce. Why can't you guys just have like normal American names like Barrett? Joy is the co-founder, right? Co-chair, chapter chair of Moms for Liberty, Kitsap County. And we reached out to Joy and Anne-Marie and Moms for Liberty, Kitsap County, because they share in our mission of parental rights and protecting children. And so Joy is going to speak to you a little bit about Moms for Liberty and about her view on all of this, her story and all this garbage that's going on. So welcome, Joy. Jersvold. Joy Jersvold. I got it.
Joy's just fine. When I was teaching, I was Mrs. G for a reason. It's much simpler. Thank you so much for reaching out and asking us to be here today. My executive board is here with me today, and one of our speakers is actually from our executive board. As Julie said, I represent our chapter out in Kitsap County, which was the first chapter here in Washington State. We now have 8 chapters across the state of Washington. King County, Snohomish County, Pierce County, Whitman County, Spokane County, and Douglas Chelan. And we could not be more excited. We're no longer the lone wolves in a blue sea swimming for our lives. You know, we talk a lot in Moms for Liberty about hope and about being joyful warriors. In the face of what feels like something we are not going to overcome, we refuse to give up. We will not back down. We will not stop. And we're here to give all of you the hope that you need so you don't have to leave. This is our state. They are our children, and we will fight, to quote Tiffany Justice, one of our co-founders, like hell to protect them. We talk a lot about our whys, too. Why are we here? Before 5599, before 1469, before any of that, I almost buried my daughter. My daughter was caught in the result of social emotional learning and restorative justice. She was pushed to the point of having Her suicide plan on her in her LA journal. And her counselors did not report that as mentally reportable. They did not tell me or my husband what was going on. They said, talk to your daughter. I'm a former teacher here in this great state. I know what should have happened.
Exactly.
If I had not been on top of this and taken my daughter to the ER, she wouldn't be here today. She wouldn't be my wife right now, thriving in this state.
Get her out of here.
I was the one who sat with her in the ER. I was the one who drove her to her cancer.
Emily, come here.
I was the one who cried for her as her father did and as her brother did. I'm also a unicorn. My son is gay, and I'm actually here. Can you believe it? Because there's no way I could be a mom's for Liberty and have a gay son.
Hey, don't go to a woman like that.
I don't even know what that means. So, I'm here for him because they have stolen his voice. They make him feel like he cannot stand up and say this is wrong when he knows in his core that everything that is happening is against everything natural in the world.
Do you know what this is about? There's nothing to do with Trump. There's nothing to do with Trump.
Hello, Groomer! Hello, Groomer! Hello, Groomer!
For the proof and proceeds of grandchildren and children. They are diving into that. That's our job. Our rights are natural, and no one can take them from us.
I ain't gonna put her in danger. Just send her in here. That's her problem, bro.
She's way more strong than me.
Your guys' call.
Come on, Emily!
I came over here because I saw there was stuff going on.
So classy.
All right.
No perverts allowed! Perverts evacuate! Perverts evacuate! Perverts evacuate the area! All perverts evacuate the area! All perverts evacuate the area! All perverts evacuate the area! Oh, look at Fischer Prescott!
There you are! There you are! Hi! Welcome back! Welcome back!
Everybody on base. Leave her be. Hey, you listen to me right now. She can shout all she wants. It's her First Amendment right. I have asked CES to remove her. They are refusing. So if she wants to sit here and make a spectacle out of herself, fucking let her. Hey, all of us, ignore her. This is what the hey.
We have First Amendment rights too, bud.
I know, but
You're telling us to be quiet.
Why do you guys want to cut little kids' dicks off?
Good question.
Why do you want to cut little kids' dicks off? Excuse me, why do you want to cut little kids' dicks off? You too, sweetheart!
Ma'am, you want to get back over there? Thank you.
You don't want little kids to be able to take transition hormones. Little kids, 13 years old. Cutting the
Correct. And one of our side came over
No,
here.
and she
We assumed it was going to
upstairs, and then she won't leave. We left your
There's
side.
Rhody came back.
You said us, we left her and told us to leave. She came over here and pushed someone on the stairs. We asked her to leave. She won't leave. That's not fair.
I mean,
Get
she
out.
has left.
But you're still here. The same way I did earlier, right?
Right, so get back over there. And keep them over there. We don't come to your side. Don't bring them over here then.
You want to cut my kids' dicks off because my opinion doesn't align with yours. You're a fascist! You're a fascist!
All the
You're a
Nazis are
fascist and a
fascists!
Nazi! And you want to cut little kids' dicks off!
All the Nazis are fascists! Hello, groomers! Hey, get on the pedophile side, you sickos! Pedophiles belong across the street! Get the pedophiles across the street! Yeah, I know, but we need to keep the pedos over there.
The problem is
I'll definitely over here, man. Try to talk to y'all like over here.
I mean, if he's an independent
Question for a second, didn't it, kid? So I don't know if any of you know me or not. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take this off and I'm going to tangle myself in the microphone. You know why I'm taking this off? Because I don't need body armor. You know whose armor I wear? I wear the armor of God. And you are all encumbered in the armor of God. But I want to let Alex over there, Alex, Mr. Ramel, why did you send them over here to instigate? How dare you try to create a House bill to outlaw my organization and call the Washington 3% terrorists and instigators, and you sent them over to us. Did you all see it? Alex, 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 say it out loud, let them know we saw it. Alex, why'd you do that? Alex, you keep them over there. So let me tell you who I am and why I don't need this damn body armor. My name is Rhody, and guess what? I'm a damn proud 3%er. I am the son of a Holocaust survivor. I am the son and the nephew of people that escaped communism in the Soviet Union. And I will never bend the knee. I will not be intimidated by these cretins, and neither shall you. But here as we talk about all these politics, and we talk about all this legislation, I want to remind everybody right now, are you listening to me? Liberty is not taken by tyrants. Liberty is surrendered by cowards. Are you fucking cowards? Let's tell them right now. We will fight for our children. We will fight. We will fight. We will fight. Oh, look at this. Look at this. This is what they gotta do. Look at that fucking coward walking around with his horn. Debate me, don't hate me, you son of a bitch. That's right. This is all they got. Pay attention, this is all they got. Theatrics. But theatrics do not protect our Who protects your children? You protect your children. Listen, guys.
Listen, dude.
Some of you might have saw me before on the Barrett movie. He came and crashed my event over here. I was an organizer of the U.S. Canadian Chapter Conference.
Tate speech. Tate speech.
They tried to pass a house bill right there declaring my organization as a terrorist organization. Do you know why we were declared as a terrorist organization? Because Emily Kaufman literally said they raised $85,000 for their political cause. So when you get to make enemies out of your political others, you're not the good guys. Are you guys the good guys? You guys want to fuck with the powers that be with me for a second? Can I get you to raise your right hand? Raise your right hand. I do solemnly swear that I will defend the Constitution with true faith and allegiance, and that I will uphold the principles of the 3%er. I will defend others without any first use of force, that I believe to prepare, support, unite, and defend. Raise your arms right now. Take a look, Jay Inslee. I just made about 103%ers. Go F yourself. Why does my organization exist? Well, Candace Mercer can tell you. April Morrow can tell you. Carrie French can tell you. Because when these women go out and speak with an unpopular opinion, what happens to them?
They threaten us with baseball bats.
They hit. They strike. Where's my criminal charge of assault? Who have you ever seen me and my people assault? Never. But you know what we will do? We will defend. We will defend with a furiosity in our stomachs that is only born in the American citizen. We are the first nation of the people, for the people, by the people. We do not believe in dictations by government. We are the representatives and the preservers of this great union. And they are coming for your children. When they say divide and conquer, it is not a euphemism, it is their damn strategy. So your job is to see through the lies, and you join hands with each other.
USA! USA!
USA!
USA! USA! USA! USA! USA!
We will not be intimidated. We will not bend the knee. Let me tell you about a 3%er. Let me tell you about an American patriot. My knee bone runs all the way to my neck bone. And when you propose to bend my knee, you prepare to break my neck. And I will respond accordingly. You all have decisions to make. They are coming for your freedom. They are coming for your liberty. If you think that you can outsource the preservation of liberty to the same devices that eat it, then the war is already lost. You find refusal in your heart. You find obstinance in your heart. And you clench your fist, and when some dipshit with a tuba or some dumbass comes over getting in your face, you know what you do? You stare and wait for them, Huckleberry. And when they swing, you swing with the almighty power of God. Because God is freedom. God is family. God is America. And guess what? I'm not a Christian. I'm a Jew.
Yes! All right!
So when they call me a far-right Christian, I say, I don't know what you're talking about. My name is Rhody. But you know what? We're brothers. And we are sisters. And we fight for righteousness. And the word is we, not they. So let them send over the rabble-rousers. Let them send over the snakes from the pit. And they will be crushed beneath our feet. If you want to join me, find me. If you want to join 3%, find it. If you want to network with Gays Against Groomers, Mom Demand Liberty, Conservative Ladies of Washington, get out there, activate, organize, be loud, and give them no quarter. God save the Republic, and God damn those communists. I'm out.
Fuck Jay!
All right, that was fun. I'm speaking now. I guess I'm next in order. It was supposed to be Jim, but now it's Julie. So again, I'm Julie Barrett, Conservative Ladies of Washington. My story is really personal that I want to share with you today. This bill, Senate Bill 5599, the day it dropped, I knew that this bill was my fight for this session. I started Conservative Ladies of Washington on March 1st of 2021. On March 18th, my 14-year-old daughter was transferred without my consent from Seattle Children's Hospital to the Paul G. Allen Hope Center, a youth homeless shelter in Lake City, neighborhood of Seattle. The hospital called me. I dropped my child off on Wednesday night at youth group, and she had a mental health crisis that landed her in Seattle Children's Hospital. I'm sure a lot of you, if you have teenagers, you know COVID did a number on them, plus if your kid had childhood trauma, that made it even worse. So the next time I saw my daughter was 10 days later on the street outside of that youth shelter. I want to tell you, if a lot of you probably know me and know a little bit about my story, so I'm not going to reiterate the whole story. You can Google it and search it up. Todd Herman does a really good job of putting it together. We did some interviews as I was going through it. But I want to tell you what they do while your child is in the shelter, because that's what this bill is about. And what this bill does that you may not know, all of this stuff was already legal. Your kids can already go to the youth shelter without your consent. Your kid can dial 988 and say they're suicidal, and EMT will show up at your front door just to let you know that they're taking your child. This bill, now they don't even have to tell you where your kid is. Now they don't have to notify you. They already didn't need your consent. Now they don't even have to tell you where your kid is. While my child was in this shelter, the shelter wouldn't let me talk to her. She was never available. They would laugh at me when I would call. At one point, they gave my daughter a razor to shave her legs. I bet you can imagine what she did with that razor. She did not shave her legs, and she ended up back in the emergency room at Seattle Children's Hospital. When they took her there, they went ahead and changed her medical information to have them, the youth shelter staff, as her legal guardians. They made it the youth shelter was her address. She gets discharged from the hospital a day later, and she gets discharged back to the shelter. I happened to have my daughter's cell phone, and the youth shelter gave her a laptop to use while she was there. Fortunately, I was able to access her Instagram account where she was messaging friends, and I learned that the social worker, who I had researched and found that he has roots in Antifa, I'm sure you find that shocking, he was helping her to file a CHINS petition. A CHINS petition is a Child in Need of Services petition. It is for children who are abused, neglected, homeless, not kids who have loving families. They had gotten my daughter a lawyer. Keep in mind, there was no Child Protective Services, no DCYF, none of these people are involved. And we knew very quickly that we were up against the clock, because if my daughter had gotten in front of a judge, the judge would have granted that CHINS petition. We would have lost our parental rights, and that youth shelter would have become her legal guardian. So on March 27th, we went to the youth shelter to get our daughter, and we had made arrangements for a facility outside of the state of Washington to take care of some of her mental health needs, because we learned very quickly about the laws in Washington and that we would not be able to keep her in the state and get her well. I had no idea what that day would look like. We spent 7 hours standing out on the street outside of that youth shelter. We went to the door to get her, and they wouldn't let us have her. So I called my friend who was on the Seattle Police Department force at the time, and he said, "You need to call 911. So they sent a team of officers out, which was kind of unexpected because it's 2021 and they've defunded the police and there really aren't that many to go around. So I wasn't sure who, if anyone, would show up. But 2 officers came, and they happened to know my friend and had been briefed on the situation, and they went up to the shelter and spoke with the staff, and about an hour later they came back to the street where my husband and my best friend and my son were waiting. And they said, "They're essentially holding your daughter hostage, and we're going to have to call backup."
It was 8 officers in total that it took to get my child out. They had to break and enter the building. They had barricaded my daughter into a room in the back of the shelter. She had to be basically carried out by 3 police officers. She was not in great shape when she came out. I, to this day, don't know all the details of what happened to her in there, but as you can imagine, those 10 days inflicted a great deal of trauma on my daughter. And greatly compounded the trauma that she had before she went in. My daughter spent 19 months outside of the state of Washington because I couldn't bring her back and get her the care that she needed here and be able to make the decisions for my 14-year-old child who was in a mental health crisis. What this bill does is it allows kids to essentially, they could go to school one day and there could be an activist teacher in their school that tells your daughter that maybe she actually is a boy because maybe she has short hair and she wears boy clothes and she just feels funky in her body because what girl at 14 years old doesn't feel funky in her body? And they can convince her that she is a boy. So then she requests gender affirming care and she goes off to a host home or a youth shelter that have been infiltrated. I'm sure there used to be good people in social work and the psychological services, but it has been infiltrated with socialists, people that want to harm your children. They're not dumb. They're not misunderstanding. They know exactly what they're doing. These lawmakers, these Democrats that ran over there to be with these people, they know exactly what they're doing. This is an agenda. It's an agenda to create chaos and confusion and create a society that they can fully control.
Yes.
They are pedophiles. They are groomers. They want to take children away from loving parents. And don't think for one second that those staff people in that shelter didn't Google Julie Barrett and find out that I was a conservative. You know they did, and of course the fact that I'm conservative makes me a bad parent, I'm sure. Now I saw Joe Kent somewhere around here. Is he still here? Maybe he's not still here. Joe Kent was one of the first people I called after my daughter got out of the youth shelter. He had just filed to run for Congress. And I was telling him my story, and if you know of Joe Kent, he's a Green Beret. I can't rattle off all his different things off the top of my head. But I was telling him about what happened to my daughter, and he was like, Julie, this is exactly what ISIS does. They get the children, they indoctrinate the children, they create this chaos and confusion, they create a society that they can control. They're after the children. They're not coming for the children, they are here. They're in the schools, they're in the hospitals, they're in churches. There's nowhere safe for the kids. They're in this building. They're making laws. And let's address the elephant in the room. Julie has a house in Florida now. I have had the EMTs at my front door more times than I can count where they tell me, we're taking your kid, and I can't do anything but watch them drive away with my child. Why would you stay?
Right, exactly.
If you have a child that's at risk, why would you stay? If you could go where you can actually be a parent to your child. And so I want to tag on to what Alex said. What do we do? Where do we go from here? The fight has just begun. We didn't just lose a fight. We just started fighting because people are just starting to wake up. I've spent the last 2 years telling this story about what happened to my daughter, trying to wake up parents. And parents will hear my story and they're like, that'll never happen to my kid. My kid and I, we have a really good relationship. I dropped my kid off at church, you guys. It wasn't that we didn't have a good relationship. When a kid is in a mental health crisis, when a kid is being influenced by nefarious adults, groomers, pedophiles, whatever you want to call them, people with an evil agenda, they will be easy to manipulate, and they go after the vulnerable children, the children on the spectrum, the children that have special needs, they target those vulnerable kids. They don't target the strong kids, the homeschool kids that have been, and I'm not saying kids that aren't homeschooled aren't strong, but you understand what I'm saying. Kids that have roots with their family, where they have strong core values. And that's what these legislators don't want. They don't want your kids to have strong core values. They don't want patriotism and Christianity and these things that really give kids a strong foundation. They don't want that. We need to start waking up our friends. We need people to understand the agenda. We need them to understand that these aren't dumb people that just don't know what they're doing. They very much know what they're doing. And they're going to continue to do it until the government is in charge of your kids fully 100%. That is the end goal.
That's communism. This is why we do.
So, yeah, that is communism, yes. And this is a communist, truly it's a communist state. The people in that building are communists, and that's the direction they want. That is exactly what they want. And so I want to encourage you today that over the last 2 years, as I have been sharing my story, my daughter's story, our family story, I see people waking up. I am seeing more and more traction as people are waking up. And so I don't want you to feel like we've lost this fight when Inslee signs this bill, because he will sign this bill. But we are not done fighting. We will never be done fighting. This is my hill I will die on. When they say that all the, if parents, if mama bears stand up, they don't, they're going to mess with us. Come mess with me, because I live for my kids and I will die for my kids. If that's the way I go, then I went down the way I was supposed to. We're going to fight. We're going to fight this bill. We need to keep spreading the word, keep getting other parents involved. What Conservative Ladies of Washington did this session, and it started with I started working in the session last year. And then this year I started building a team. We testified on this bill and hundreds of other bills all session long. Sometimes we are the only voice of opposition speaking up on these bills. We need you guys to get involved. We need you in this fight. You can join us, go to our website, conservativeladiesofwa.com. You can get on our team, or you can just, if you don't want to do the work, you can at least become a member and support the work that we're doing. It's a lot of time, it's a lot of effort, but we need to grow the Army, and we need your voice, and anyone can do it. You don't have to have special qualifications. You can just be a mom or a dad that cares. You don't need to know how to read bills. We'll teach you all of that stuff, but we do need you to get involved in the fight, because we are just beginning. And one thing I want to let you know is we slowed this bill down. We did not let them do this in the dark, which they have done a lot of these bills in the dark. They did not get away with it. It was on all kinds of national news. You saw the Western Washington mainstream media come out calling all of our voices misinformation. They got seen this year, and we are just beginning. I want to thank you all for coming out, and we've got a few more really great speakers left for you guys this afternoon. The next speaker is a gentleman that I got to know, about a year ago. He was following me on Twitter, and I saw he was running for Congress at the time, and so I checked out his website. The first thing that I saw on his website in really big, bold letters said, "Save our children." So I'm sure you can see why I connected with him very quickly. So it is my honor to introduce to you my friend Scott Stevenson, and he's going to share his story with you today.
Wow, what an amazing group of speakers, what an amazing group of people. It is so amazing, wonderful to be here today. Just have a few things to say. First, I'm not going to talk much about me. Thank you for that amazing intro, Julie. I did run for Congress against Kim Schreier in District 8. And I also wrote the front page article of the current Flame newspaper. Now, I know they were circulating here. I suggest everyone pick up a copy. There we go. It's called First Do No Harm. It's about detransitioners and what's being done to our kids, and it is a must-read article. So please pick up a copy. Pick up a bunch of copies. Give them to your friends, your family, and your neighbors. We need to get this word out. Everyone needs to know, and this paper is one of the few that allows us, with our conservative voices, to be able to tell the truth, as we all know. But I'm here because I'm a father. And Jen and I, it's my partner Jen, we're parents of 3 14-year-olds, 1 daughter and 2 sons, and you can imagine how things are around our house. It's pretty incredible. But I want to tell you a story about what happened to one of our kids, and the event that changed everything for me, and it's really the reason I won, and it's the thing more than anything that woke me up and made me realize what is happening in our country. 5 years ago, we lived in Seattle. We still lived in Seattle. And a teacher and a psychologist in Seattle Public Schools one day announced that one of our 8-year-old sons was a girl. And this incredible pronouncement came completely out of left field and was based on nothing more than our son being a smart, sensitive child, innocently mentioning that he sometimes didn't feel like all the other boys. And if they had bothered to ask our son any real questions, they would have realized that what he meant was he's not athletic. He wasn't athletic. And he sometimes felt left out on the playing field and the playground. But they never bothered to do this, no. Instead, though he had displayed absolutely no signs of gender dysphoria before or since, these so-called educators pounced on him and came in pronouns ablazing. And without our knowledge, they selected a new name for him, a girl's name. And they told him that they were going to have a party with cake and balloons the next day to celebrate his new name.
Sickening.
Absolutely sickening. And when Jen was sitting with our son, these people told her there was no middle ground. That either she went along with this insanity and helped our son transition, or he would be ruined for the rest of his life. Well, we knew 3 things immediately. First, these people were completely insane. These people are completely insane. And we knew they could not be trusted with our child, and we knew he would never go back to that school. But I do have to say there is one thing those freaks were right about. And that is, when it comes to protecting our children, there is no middle ground. There is no middle ground with people who pretend to be compassionate ones, even as they actively destroy the bodies and futures of our vulnerable kids. There is no middle ground with radicals who believe that our state should have more power than our parents. There is no middle ground with people who think skyrocketing rates of gender and sexual confusion is totally normal, and that indoctrination and social contagion is a conspiracy theory. There is no middle ground with the idea that some people responsible here for drug addiction and homelessness in our state think they can protect children better than we, their parents, can. There is no middle ground. There is no middle ground with Big Med and Big Pharma, who refused us access to safe and effective drugs to treat COVID because of a lack of double-blind studies, but who are now raking in billions of dollars injecting kids with off-label drugs and cutting off their genitals of mentally ill children without a single long-term study of safety or efficacy. There is no middle ground with these manipulative assholes who want us to believe that in order to protect one child from an abusive home, the safety of every single one of our children must be sacrificed. No, there is no middle ground with an education system that forced our kids in front of computer screens for over a year, knowing damn well that it would only lead to irrecoverable learning loss, skyrocketing loneliness, mental illness, and suicide. There is no middle ground.
Hang on.
Are you a cop?
I need you to go back over there. Sir, I'm asking you to go back over there.
What's going on right now?
Sir, I'm asking you right now.
If the law enforcement asks me to leave, I will happily leave.
Hey folks, would you please walk away? You almost knocked me down. I'm 66 years old. I don't get up when I get knocked down. Please walk away. I am almost knocked over a 66-year-old woman. I've got osteoporosis. When I go down, I don't get up. Not cool. Not cool. You know, this is not the place to like get into wrestling matches and try to knock people over. Please don't. So next, I'd like to introduce I'd like to introduce Speaker of the House, Laura Jenkins, Wisconsin Farm Girl. Thank you, Anna. Thank you all for being here today. I want to let you know that as long as Democrats control that House of Representatives and that Senate, we will never go back. We will only go forward. We will protect our trans brothers and sisters at every turn. We will pass Margolitas' bill that will provide safe housing for trans people. We will make sure that young people like Stella
I'm sorry, that was you, right?
Yeah, we just don't mean this area open. That's all. Understood. Yeah, real quick.
But she gets to live in Tacoma, in the center of the gay universe. That's where I represent. Let me tell you, I know.
So my guess is that live stream didn't come out very, that moment probably didn't come out very well in documentation. It seems like there was some kind of a fight or something that happened on the sort of pro-trans side over there. There's sort of a swarm of police doing
exactly did happen over there.
Frankly, I have no idea. So as I'm telling my audience, there was some kind of a swarm of activity. Police kind of like ran into something, but like as soon as I got there, there were people trying to block me with umbrellas, so it was hard for me to see.
It looked like they were playing capture the flag over there because it looked like a rod-like object before it was all obscured.
To be honest, I'm not even sure if there was someone against them. Like, I literally have no idea.
Came back over and they were like, we don't know what happened.
Yeah, so all of the police, there's just a flurry of activity.
So to be fair, the cops are gaslighting because I asked them who Jonathan was when he couldn't go in there, but they allowed them here. So I think they're intentionally in the dark unless it's on their end.
Truth be told, I don't want to say because I don't know. I sort of tried my best.
Not just celebritize, but just bringing up the fact they then, when John went over there to as they were in front of the legislators going back in, they said, "Oh, Johnny's on the move." And then I asked them, "Who's Johnny?" The same guys who literally told me, "Who's Jonathan Cho?" when I asked them why he was barred from going in.
Yeah, I have no idea. I try to just document everything, but whatever.
Well, thankfully he's part of a Christian conservative household, and it doesn't really bother him as much, but I'm wondering how the other boys in the classroom feels when they hear that and when they feel like their very existence is being questioned of even being legitimate. I think we all know what's happening is that American public school systems right now, they're going against American values. Exactly. We need masculine men. But the American values teachers, and what I was taught when I was in school, was that we're supposed to judge a person's character based on their actions, not on their color of their skin or their gender or their sexuality. But that's not what they're teaching students anymore, and we're all very well aware of that. And this is why I'm so glad to see the people that did show up today, because we can together mobilize and tell people that we are very much against this. I work in Washington State for Turning Point USA. I also work in Oregon, and I have a student in Oregon who was starting her first year in high school. And she was very afraid because, you know, she comes from a conservative Christian background, and she was afraid that her ideas wouldn't be heard. But thankfully she did reach out to Turning Point USA, and I did start a chapter with her. It has about 4 other students in it. And guess what? They're actually telling other people about the value that they were raised with. Strong American Christian.
Huh? What do you do for
Groomers! You guys like to talk about little kids' genitalia? You guys are disgusting! Perverts! Groomers! Pigs. Disgusting pigs.
Who was that?
That's State Senator Mark Elias, man. That's the guy who...
Oh, that's the sponsor of the... Right, okay.
You and I think we're the only ones. Who are you with?
My Let's Call News to Share. I'm not familiar with the local players here. I came from Virginia.
Welcome, man.
Thank you.
My name's John. What's your name?
Ford. Like the car.
Ford?
Yeah.
Nice to meet you, brother. Well, you got it.
Yeah, I kind of ran in. I got the tail end of it.
Next up is Tasha. She's going to share her story. Tasha is on the executive board of the Moms for Liberty Pittsburgh County chapter.
Thank you guys for coming out today. I never thought I would have to do anything like this in front of a bunch of people, so please bear with me. The world I once knew of seems so far away, and with my third Mother's Day approaching without my eldest daughter, I I am grasping for any resemblance of what that once was. Now, let me start by saying, even with the crime, even with everything you're about to hear, I am so grateful that the crimes committed against me were prior to social media, which probably would have caused me to end my life early. If I could have seen the adults that I thought were safe at school displaying so many red flags publicly, blurring the lines so consistently, I'm not sure I would have felt like there was any hope in being saved from the sex-focused childhood I had. Again, my name is Tasha. I'm the Moms for Liberty Kitsap County Moms for Libraries coordinator. Originally, that was my hill to die on because me telling the school counselor that pornography was being shown saved other people. It saved other kids. And so I could not fathom that it was actually being introduced into school and that I would ever have to argue with grown adults over that. There are also many reasons why people have identity issues, and this is mine. If my abuser could have had a state-sponsored program that would have helped make me more attractive to him and the people on the other end of the camera, I'm sure he would have been elated. I am an AOL dial-up and net meeting child porn internet trafficking survivor. I was traded live for boys in chat rooms, as well as having pre-recorded hidden camera videos and images of me traded. I was born here in Washington. I've lived here my entire life. I'm a former straight-A student with a beaming report card, yet failed to graduate because the state does not have the interest nor resources in helping victims because they steal from them. Even with me utilizing the mandated reporters at school for years, I was being threatened with my life and others. I only felt safe enough to speak in code to say hopefully just enough that some adult would do their job and save us. No one could seem to tell the signals or the grooming signs I was displaying. They couldn't tell by the repeated complaints of exposure to pornography. They couldn't hear my cries for help. They couldn't tell until I had the courage to stop it from happening to another by organizing my own raid. My abuser on my side of the camera went to jail, and I entered foster care with already what some would say a master's degree in pedophile observation and analysis. While entering foster care, the state would claim my location could not be found. During my restitution hearing, they claimed the only $300 payment owed to me. After this, I found no one help, no resources, and with my brain groomed to be overly sexualized early and with teenage hormones, I became another pregnant high school statistic. Because I was groomed into thinking my sexuality was all I had to offer for almost a decade, I then started trafficking myself on TNA board to Microsoft workers and other high-paying clients on the east side to support said daughter, because I felt like it was the only thing I was good at the time. So the state took my daughter from me. Did the clients from the east side get investigated? No. But the girl failed by the state, was now 18, held to adult standards, and what happened to her prior meant nothing. No one cared how she was groomed or who didn't help her. She was a taxpayer now. Now there was another responsibility in this ripple, my daughter. So I did my best, sought out resources on my own, gained real employment, changed my entire reputation, had a loving family.
Jim Walsh.
I thought everything was going smoothly until the first rug was ripped out from under me. My youngest became vaccine injured prior to COVID ever existing. Fall 2019, my oldest was almost BECA billed for an unknown respiratory virus. I never got answers. Then came COVID and the second row. I was served with a restraining order notifying me that she was vaccinated against my will. I was her custodial parent, and they had the school nurse influence the other parent, and I can't do none of it. I was served with a restraining order of my beliefs. Someone having survived real, actual abuse was deemed unsafe and abusive because of practicing care and caution for my children with the cards dealt to me. So if my life is what you see, a life full of gaslighting while reprimanded, then please, by all means, continue this ripple in our community. Continue with your ideological capture of these children. Continue grooming them, confusing them. Continue the cycle of victimhood with no hope, no moral ground, just temptations. Because that appears to me what we want, to fail everyone equally. There is a major sickness here. It's not COVID. It's the heart. I feel like I woke up and somehow ended up in the upside down world. All the mortals in every story we come to know rapidly traded for who could be the most sexually provocative, the most outlandish, the biggest politically correct victim. All while breaking bread and honest tough love conversations are forbidden or deemed abusive. We now show pornography in schools. The same location we used to lock up the National Geographic magazines with the saying, boys will be boys. With no care in the world, we gaslight grandparents, aunts, uncles, parents, and their children alike via presidential speeches. Mother's Day and Father's Day canceled in our local schools to avoid triggering students that we are supposed to condone the greatest family division we have ever seen brought on by our president on TV to gaslight them that their bad, unvaxxed, uncaring parent would not survive the winter.
YouTube Fischer.
In any uncertain state, acting in caution is best. As a survivor, this tactic kept me safe previously, but I was not allowed as a survivor mother to give that cautious knowledge to my eldest. And now I sit in the window and pray she will survive whatever's inside of her, so I can see her beautiful face heading up my driveway once more. I wish I could take the controversial shot out of her and put it in my body, because I'm her mother. And I would do that. I'm not sure any other adult in this state would say the same thing. The irony of these bills combined and the order in which you choose to sign the bills is not lost on the few of us left with common sense. You have shown us your priorities. You are not shielding children in any form that we ask you to. The only thing you are doing is continuing to shield those who would abuse them and completely abolishing parental rights while simultaneously ignoring adult survivors of child abuse with your statute of limitations for them. But the death penalty for abusers is now off the table entirely. Gender-affirming care is a disgusting upside-down world euphemism for child abuse, for lifetime child mutilation while knowing that children cannot consent. When you continue to give slaps on the wrist for cases like mine, or the infamous Rick Allen Jones case and the many other child porn and child sexual abuse cases, when you provide free transportation to the east side for the minors you are grooming via your Orchid Card program, Chromebooks, porn in schools, when you encourage secrets, when you ignore the word groomer, and clinical grooming steps that are meant to help victims and community members with prevention education. Well, then it quite literally feels like the fox is guarding the hen house. And with the latest out of the United Nations regarding their child sexualization plan by claiming somehow children can consent to sex, well, now we need you to stop pretending he's not. We will not become Sodom and Gomorrah. I did not survive for you to use my life as a business model to hurt others, including my own kin. All I ever wanted was normal. If there is any ounce of normal left, then it is our job to conserve that, whether you label yourself a conservative or not. Parental rights are nonpartisan. Accountability is nonpartisan. Remember, it was only supposed to be 2 weeks that life wasn't normal. And as parents, it is our job to know when we are being lied to our face and then to act accordingly. We do not co-parent with the government. They've separated enough families. People ask me why I do this all the time. Well, it's because I have to be able to tell my children I did not stay silent. We are moms. No matter how weary or tired or scared we are, we show up. Thank you to everybody who came to show their grit, their determination, and most of all, love for their innocent children. My youngest didn't talk until after she was 3. I didn't hear her say mama until after she was 3. And I hope our community heart can mend itself. So now she could tell her sister just how much she misses her and how much we all miss her. Thank you guys again.
Okay, it's time to introduce our next speaker. I'm very happy to introduce her, Candace. She is a local activist and an artist, and we are so happy to have her today. Thank you for coming out. Thank you, Heather.
Hello, I'm Candace Mercer. I'm an artist, writer, and activist based in Olympia, Washington. This speech is dedicated to my friend Laura Becker, who is in Austin today doing the work too. She is a detransitioner featured in the excellent documentary Affirmation Generation. I'm going to talk about the danger of gender-affirming care, something I used to believe in. Gender-affirming health care is presented as all glitter, rainbows, and trans joy, but the reality is anything but. They really don't want the people to know the truth about gender-affirming health care. That's why we are here and making so much noise, because the truth is what changes minds. It changed mine. I have chose to listen to both the trans and the detransitioner communities about the reality of gender-affirming care. No child is born in the wrong body. I am willing to be hated for having this reasonable position. Call me a bigot. Call me a transform. I don't care. No child is born in the wrong body. Social transition is the gateway drug in which in almost every case leads to medical intervention. Gender-affirming care is presented as the only alternative to suicide. This reprehensible rhetoric is emotional manipulation, which is extremely effective when weaponized against parents. Children who need mental health interventions are being told the answer lies in disrupting their endocrine system at a crucial stage in their development, which often increases their emotional distress. When social transition is done in schools, it's a violation of parental rights, especially when it's done in secret. Any parental resistance is positioned as abuse. Caring parents are labeled toxic. This is being used to justify state intervention. Bill 5599 sets up conditions that could increase youth homelessness at a time when we are not able to properly care for the ones we already have. Puberty blockers are sold as safe and reversible. This is the same medication used to chemically castrate sex offenders, and it's being given to children. Oops. Puberty blockers stop development of the genitals in boys, leaving them with a micro penis. They are sterile and can never experience orgasm. It is absolutely not reversible. Cross-sex hormones are given on demand by board-licensed doctors who should know better. They went to medical school. They should know you cannot fight biology that has evolved over millennia. When girls start testosterone, they go through menopause. Over time, their uterus, bladder, and vagina atrophy, causing immense pain and requiring major surgery that most women want to avoid. Girls also experience permanent changes to facial and body hair, including male pattern baldness. Their voice deepens forever. Radical double mastectomies and castration are the next steps. Euphemized as top surgery and bottom surgery, they are normalized even in adolescence. Other plastic surgeries done on young adults are experimental, painful, and gruesome in nature. For vaginoplasty, the penis is cut off, turned inside out, and inserted into the body. Remember what puberty blockers do? If the penis is not large enough, a section of the colon is used to fashion a faux vagina. It is a wound. To prevent healing the wound, it must be dilated daily in 3 painful 30-minute sessions for over a year. Does that sound like trans joy to you? If a young woman gets a phalloplasty, her arm or leg is flayed to create a tube that is nothing like a real penis. Complications are frequent and severe, often requiring repeated hospitalizations and further surgery. Painful nerve damage, difficulty urinating, sexual dysfunction, and recurrent infections are the reality trans rights activists don't want us talking about. This is uncharted territory. There is little science or medical knowledge around treating people facing the long-term consequences of puberty blockers, cross-sex hormones, and disfiguring plastic surgeries. There is a growing community of detransitioners whose stories are heartbreaking. They are medical patients for life, often in pain. Their regret can be high. They become suicidal. Studies are showing suicides peak 7 years after transition, once the gender euphoria wears off and the glitter is tarnished. They wish someone would have stopped them. I have a message to the young people here today, and it is not one of hate, but one of extreme love. You are perfect as you are. You do not need a synthetic sexual identity that leaves you dependent on Big Pharma. You are perfect as you are. Loving yourself is the ultimate liberation. Thank you.
Thank you, Candace. I'm going to ask Joy and Alex to come up with me. Got quiet over there. I just want to say thank you all so much for coming out today. We really wanted this to set the tone for a non-political event because this issue about protecting kids it crosses all political boundaries. And it's hard not to do that because it does seem like it is one-sided. But if protecting children is considered right-wing, then I guess sign me up for that. But I'm also just really honored to stand here today with Joy and with Alex, and having been, in this fight through this session with these gals, and just knowing that there are joyful warriors, and that we are not fighting alone, and there are so many like-minded people. And when you know, courage is contagious. And when you have the courage to speak up, you will give that courage to someone else. So I want to send you out with a assignment today to speak truth, speak reality into the world, and you will give other people courage to do the same thing. And the more that we give people courage to start speaking up, the sooner we will start seeing this ship turn around. And it is going to be a long fight. We have to be in it for the long haul. It's not one bell, it's not one session, it's many decades. But if our forefathers hadn't fought the way that they fought, we wouldn't have this country today. And so we are laying the groundwork today for generations to come. We won't see maybe the fruits of our labor, and that's okay. We've gotten so used to instant gratification. We may not have that in this case, but we can look at grandchildren and great-grandchildren all the way down the line. We are setting things up for them to protect them. So get in the fight. Check out Moms for Liberty, Gays Against Groomers, Conservative Ladies of Washington. And if you do leave Washington, we launched a national platform, Conservative Ladies of America, in November, so you can join us from wherever you are in the country. Thank you for coming. Be safe and stick with buddies. Read the bill. I've been telling everybody to read the bill for like the last 3 months. Yes, I've been beating the drum. Thank you, everyone.
YouTube, and then my name on Twitter is...
Hey, before everybody gets out of here today, I want to remind everybody of something that happened today, especially any of the legislators that are in this building right now. Everybody remember the two people that came over here to try to make a little scene?
Oh, hang on.
Do you know who tapped them on the shoulder and come over to do it?
Awesome. Thank you.
Alex Ramel. Do you know why I know that? Because I had people embedded over there dressed up like them. So I want you to think about hypocrisy. Alex Ramel is an elected official here in Washington. He's one of the reps. He was appointed in 2020 and then won the election in 2022. But he was the main sponsor of House Bill 1333, which wanted to declare my organization a terrorist organization. Pause for a second. I know, buddy, I love you too. So if I'm the terrorist, young man, why did he tag two people on the shoulder to come over here and start problems? Oh, good, okay. Unbelievable. So do you know what you guys do today? You file a complaint against Alex Ramel because he tapped two people on the shoulders to come over here and start a fight. Nobody came here to fight today. We wanted to be heard. And the fact of the matter is unfortunately, and Candace will tell you all about it, sometimes in history, when you have an unpopular opinion and they can't defeat your argument, they beat you. That's right. The role of my organization is to stand with you. I have stood for people that I disagree with because they have the right to speak. I am not a terrorist. My organization is not a terrorist organization. But if we strike fear into the hearts of tyrants, then I couldn't be more happy. Do not forget, Alex Ramel filed the complaints, share it all over. He tapped somebody on the shoulder and said, go start a fight. That sounds pretty terroristic to me. Yep, exactly. God bless you all. Thank you so much for coming. And Julie again.
Sorry, guys, I have one more thing to say. We kicked it off. Okay. I lost my train of thought. Oh, we're going to have a Twitter space. On Tuesday night at 7 p.m., it will be CL of Washington on Twitter. We'll host it with Gag Washington. We'll have Moms for Liberty Kitsap. We'll send it all out. I'll make sure to tag everybody that's going to be there. We're going to have Jared Sessler, candidate for Congress 2024 in the 4th Congressional District, proudly endorsed by Conservative Ladies of Washington. You heard it here first. We'll have Scott Stevenson. Does that work for you? Tuesday at 7? Awesome. So, and Candace will be there. So join us. It'll be fun. It's a Twitter space. It's all audio. So I see Debbie Blodgett looking at me like, what's a Twitter space? So come on Twitter, join us Tuesday night at 7. We'll be kind of recapping this and talking about all the stuff and having other voices speak. So we hope to see you there. Thanks again for coming out, and we're going to do the national anthem again. God bless America.
Join me in God Bless America, shall we? God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. From the mountains to the prairies to the oceans white with foam. Let's have it big now. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home. Give a cheer as loud as you can. Woo!
Lead with Buddies and GTFO.
Are your children. You have them. They belong to you, not the government. Your children. Save them. Fight for them. It don't matter what you gotta do, but you gotta fight for your children because the government is hunting them. They are hunting your children, and you better believe they're coming after all of them. So fight, group up, get your people, and fight for your children. You don't know how bad this bill is. You don't know how dangerous this bill is. Fight for your children, because otherwise, why did you have them? Be a parent! Save our kids! Save our kids! Save our kids! Save our kids!
I don't either, but... Well, the night circus is
Thank you guys for being here today.
Sarah. 17. I'm saying it out loud so I remember. Because that's what... Oh, I wrote the sign. Gina, yeah. Oh, I thought you liked the sign. Yeah.
So they're doing the worldwide rally on.
Yes.
Oh, what is this? Oh, yeah, right. I remember them mentioning this. Thank you.
It was nice seeing you. We're having our own. Thank you, darling. March.
They have cat litter boxes in the school bathroom. Do you guys know that? There's cat litter boxes in the school bathroom. It's sick. The best thing you can do is defund the public school system. Pull your children out of school. They are indoctrinating your children. Close those schools. Close those schools. Close those schools.
Can I get a photo of your? Not RFK? You want JFK?
RFK is an awesome person, but John F. Kennedy is the man. He's the 19th president, VP already. You know that, right?
I've sort of heard of this this belief, but
John is not dead. He's very much alive, and he'll be back with Trump. Yep, he'll be back.
Try to sneak down for a minute.
Yeah. Okay.
God bless you guys. I apologize that we got here late, but
Thank you. Bye. Bye, Stella. Bye, Eden.
okay, so there's a little summary of basically what happened, because it seems like things have pretty much wrapped. But basically there were two opposing sides. You can actually see, 1 second, I'll just turn it over to the sign here. So, as it says on the sign, to the left, the opposite of the politics of it, to the left, Conservative Lady of Washington event, to the right, Unity in the Community event. What they sort of mean by that is that this kind of whole section of the Washington State Capitol grounds, you know, over on that side is the conservatives, over on that side is the, the counter-protesters. They held basically separate rallies that were divided by a system of kind of barricades. There were state troopers around, but it was mostly this kind of unarmed, I guess, like Capitol ground security force that was here, that was mostly trying to kind of keep people out of the center and push people back to their respective sides when they trickled to one side or the other. The pro-trans side was not open to cameras or media kind of being on their side for the most part. So while I normally would, in a situation like this, kind of be navigating back and forth and trying to sort of approximate filming each of them about half the time, in this case that wasn't really possible. I wasn't going to go and kind of document sort of against their wish or as they're trying to cover it with umbrellas and so forth, which was essentially the tactic they were employing. On the right-wing side, the bulk of what they were protesting about was talking about a piece of legislation, but in general, the concept of child gender transition or gender-affirming care, which they, of course, sort of dispute definitionally. So the two sides were sort of in opposition to each other, with occasionally someone would trickle over to the other side and it would end in a confrontation. There's only one, I want to say, possible fight that I saw, which occurred when there was some kind of a conflict on the counter-protest side. I at first saw it from a distance, and it was my impression that there was somebody who was sort of hostile to them that got into the middle of their event, and that caused some sort of a skirmish sort of in the center of it. But it was very difficult to see. At first I saw it from a distance, and then I kind of ran over to it. There was law enforcement who tried to sort of stop me from switching sides in order to document that situation. So that made it difficult. And then when I actually got there were people who were using umbrellas to try to block what the police were doing. So it was like, I'll have to watch my footage after, but truth be told, it's very hard for me to say what happened there. On the opposite side, at one point, some trans rights supporters came over to the conservative side and began sort of arguing with them. And it was two people who came and sort of began arguing, and then two medics from the counter-protest side who also came over to sort of join them or assist them. That looked like it was going to escalate. Rhody, I believe is how it's pronounced, sort of tried to de-escalate it or sort of separate and say that, we disagree with them, but, it's their free speech and so forth. And so it didn't really get out of hand. To my knowledge, there was no arrests and no kind of injuries on either side of it. I think I would largely attribute that to the double-layered barricades and multiple law enforcement agencies sort of separating the two sides. So overall, the whole thing went on for about 2.5 hours. I will certainly have HD footage up of the interesting aspects of today, ASAP. And so in the meantime,